Hi, I'm Sonia, and I'm here at Ardenwood Historic Farm, part of the East Bay Regional Park District, where our corn is ready for harvest. I love this time of year as changing seasons bring fall crops, morning fog, yummy squash soup at the cafe, and flocks of red-winged blackbirds. It's a great time of year for gathering for feasts and festivities with family and friends. And in fact, this land has brought together communities of people, plants, and animals across time. Since time immemorial, Ohlone people have thrived here, actively managing the plentiful natural resources and enjoying bountiful harvests of acorns, fruits, and grains every fall. After colonization, the Pattersons ran a family farm here, bringing together people from a variety of cultures to help work the land. They brought with them the plants and foods from around the world, helping to establish many of the common garden foods we've come to enjoy today, including corn, which was originally cultivated by indigenous people in what we now know as Mexico. If you're like me, a good cornbread, arepas, or my favorite treat, popcorn, is readily enjoyed with family and friends this time of year. Here at Ardenwood, we grow both maize and popcorn, and interpretive student aide Taylor Smith is here to tell you more. Cheers.
Thank you, Sonia. Corn seeds or kernels are planted in April, ideally before a good spring shower. Being a historic farm, we sometimes use techniques or even equipment from around 1900 to show how things were done when the farm was first established. This tractor isn't quite that old, but it is from 1942, and our farmer uses it to clean the weeds out from around the rows of young corn plants. As summer arrives, corn plants enjoy the warmth and grow towards the sun. Soon, their stalks are taller than us. Flowers on tassels at the top of the stalks create pollen. The pollen catches a ride on the summer breeze, and if it lands on another corn plant's silk, a kernel is born. Kernels on the maize we grow here come in a rainbow of beautiful colors, while the popcorn is all yellow. Corn stalks start turning brown in the fall, and the ears dry out, so it's ready for picking. Harvesting any crop takes a lot of helping hands, and the Ardenwood corn is no exception. After harvest, maize is shelled and ground into feed to our animals or baked into a delicious cornbread in our outdoor kitchen. Popcorn can be popped over a wood-burning stove. A bountiful harvest is a beautiful thing, and the pickings from our maize and popcorn fields are enjoyed by our community, both humans and animals alike.
My mind is filled with all the wonderful things I could do with corn. Tasty treats, beautiful decorations. Hi, I'm Mindy, and in addition to corn, I love the foggy, cool mornings and the beautiful autumn color palette at the farm this time of year. We're about to share with you how to make two of our favorite fall treats, so stay tuned. But if you have some corn husks at home with you, go ahead and soak those in a bowl of water right now, because later on, we'll be making corn husk dolls and you can follow along. But for now, it's ice cream time. Hi, welcome everyone. We are so excited that you're here to join us. We are going to be making old-fashioned ice cream today, and in the spirit of the fall season, we're going to be making pumpkin ice cream. And if you've never made old-fashioned ice cream before, it's a little bit different. It takes a little bit longer. We're not using electricity, but we are using our muscle power. So we're gonna talk about the ingredients, put things together, and then we'll actually use the machine and see how it works. So let's get started. All right, first thing we need to make ice cream is the cream. So we use our half and half, and we are gonna put half a quart, or half a gallon, 2 quarts, into our mixing bowl. All right, so now we have our half and half, and to make it nice and sweet, we're gonna add some sugar. We're gonna add 1.5 cups of sugar. It's really tough. Now we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna stir that around a little bit and mix up our sugar and our half and half. So when we talk about half and half, anyone know what half of it is and the other half? Half of it would be milk and half of it would be cream. It's nice and rich and creamy, which makes it perfect for making ice cream. All right, now that we've mixed up our half and half, we're gonna put in another staple, and if we were just making vanilla ice cream, this would be our last ingredient. Our vanilla, we put a teaspoon of vanilla in there. We're gonna mix it up just a little bit again. And now we're gonna start adding our pumpkin pie ingredients. So of course we want our pumpkin puree, and this is about 15 ounces. You can either use 1 can, or if you want to puree your own pumpkin, you would weigh it at about 15 ounces to put it in there. But of course, we love pumpkin, so the more you want to put in to your own taste, go ahead and give it a try. We're going to stir that in a little bit. And we start getting that nice orange color. So it's a fun fall flavor that everyone loves to put into so many different recipes, and ice cream is definitely not an exception. All right, now that we've gone ahead and put our pumpkin puree, the last ingredient we have to put in is our pumpkin pie spice, and we put about 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice into our mixture to give it that perfect pumpkin pie flavor, and stir that in. Okay, now that we've gone ahead and made our ice cream mixture, we're ready to put it into our ice cream maker. So let's take a look at our ice cream maker and see how it works. So we have a few pieces for our ice cream maker. We have a metal cylinder that we're gonna put our ingredients into, and it's got a little button down at the bottom because we have this piece that we're gonna put inside, and this piece is called the dasher. And these wooden panels right here are gonna scrape the inside of the cylinder as our ice cream starts freezing and help scrape off the freezing part and bring it back into the mixture. And then inside here, on this part of the dasher, we have holes to help make it nice and fluffy. So the dasher goes ahead and sits on that little button inside the cylinder. See it on here, and then it's just going to easily spin around as it scrapes those sides. We're going to put our ingredients in here, and then we're going to actually put the metal cylinder into this wooden bucket. And this is what's going to house our ice and our salt to make it cold and help freeze our ice cream. And there's another metal button down at the bottom here, and the metal cylinder fits right on the top. And then we'll put our hand crank on. So let's go ahead and put our ingredients in our metal cylinder. This is always a fun part, to not spill. There we go. All right, we may have made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. Now we're gonna put our lid on top of our cylinder. We're going to place our ingredients in our bucket. And then we're going to put our hand crank on to lock it all in place and keep our cylinder from moving all around the bucket. All right, and then we just turn it like this. Now we want to make sure our ingredients are going to start freezing. So we're going to carry our bucket over here, and now it's when we start adding the ice and the salt. Now we're going to add our ice and our salt. And you might ask, why would we add salt? The ice makes sense. It's cold. It's going to freeze our ice cream. But the salt is what's going to help us actually make the ice cream freeze. So we're going to put a little ice in and surround our metal cylinder. And now we're going to add a little bit of salt. And we're going to keep making those layers. Of ice and salt, and ice and salt. So water freezes at 32 degrees, or it melts at 32 degrees, the ice. But the ice cream has to be at 27 degrees to freeze. So the way we get it to be able to be lower temperature is adding the salt. When you add the salt, it lowers the freezing and melting point of the ice so that it can actually get the ice cream ingredients down to 27 degrees so they'll freeze and make ice cream. All right, now that we've got all of our layers of ice and salt, we're ready to start churning and freezing our ice cream. Now, usually we just like to get the ice cream out of the freezer and eat it right away. This is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take 20 to 30 minutes, so we might speed this process up a little bit. All right, it's getting a lot more difficult to turn this, so I think maybe our ice cream is frozen. So let's take a look inside and see how it's doing. I think that looks pretty tasty. I think we should go ahead and serve it up and give it a taste. All right, and of course we got our tasty cones here. We're gonna grab our spoon, we're just gonna dig right in. It's still a little bit kind of like soft serve, but does it smell good? All right, let's give it a try. Just like pumpkin pie. So tasty. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time at the farm. Take care.
Hi, I'm Christina. Just getting ready to make some apple cider here at Ardenwood Farm. Did you know that cider was once the most common drink in America? Back in colonial times, lots of the water sources were not safe to drink, so people drank cider instead. Most farms had an apple orchard, and pressing and fermenting the juice was the easiest way to preserve a large harvest. Even with refrigeration, the yeast naturally present in the skins of the apples ferments, resulting in a slightly alcoholic and delightfully carbonated drink known as hard cider.
Bottled apple juice has been pasteurized to prevent fermentation. It really doesn't quite compare to the sweet, fresh cider that we'll be making today.
Well, we've got our apples, and now we're ready to make cider. Here is our combination apple grinder and press. The apples go in the hopper, get ground up, everything falls in this bucket, which I'm going to line with this mesh bag to strain out the skins, the cores, and any worms that might be in there. I'm also going to put a bowl right under here to catch the juice as it runs out. It's time to grind up the apples, so here they go. are all ground up, and now it's time to press every last bit of that juice out. We're going to use this piece of wood called a platen to help us press down. So I've pushed down as far as this can go. I'm going to let the cider continue to run a little bit longer, and then it will be time to take a drink. Look at all that lovely juice. I can't wait to try this. To the harvest.
Harvest was a time of celebration, whether making ice cream or apple cider, but people found ways to have fun all year round, and they would use things they would find around the farm to make toys, to play games, and they would use things like clothespins, wooden spoons, and even corn husks. So take a look as we show you how to make your own corn husk dolls at home.
Hi, I'm Christina. We're going to make some corn husk dolls. If you got some corn from Ardenwood, either popcorn or flint corn, it comes with the corn husk attached. And you can use those to make a fun doll like one of these. Pioneer children especially might not have had a lot of toys, and they learned to make things from whatever they had at hand. Let's get started. In order to make your doll, you just need a few things. Scissors, some string or some raffia, and some glue. You're also going to need a bowl of water to soak your husks in. So the first thing you're going to do is remove your husk from your corn. And I like to choose some purple ones and some white ones. If you find some corn silk when you're husking your corn, hold on to it. It makes great hair for your corn husk doll. And it comes in all different shades. Blonde, brunette, and even redhead. And you're really only going to need about 7 of the individual leaves. So you can separate those. And when you have your leaves separated, you're going to soak them in water. Now, if you don't happen to have any corn around, don't worry. You can buy corn husks at the supermarket. These are the kind that are used to make tamales. Our corn husks have been soaking just briefly, maybe about a minute or so, and they're ready to go. The first part of the doll we're going to make is the head and the body, and you want to choose 4 nice wide husks for that. I'm going to use purple. Got some pretty purple stripy ones here. You're going to make a little stack with them with all of the pointy parts gathered together at the top. Next, we're going to tie them together really firmly with a piece of string. Now, when you're making your doll, you want to make sure to tie everything extra tight, because as those corn husks dry, they really shrink and it can get loose if you're not tied up really tight. Right, we have our little bundle of our 4 corn husks tied tightly at the top, and this is going to become the head and the dress. And what you want to do is take each leaf or each little husk and fold it down. 1 on each side. And then you also want to roll up this little leftover part to make the inside of the head. And then gather it together underneath that ball so you have a nice skinny neck. Now I like to tie this part with a piece of raffia. We're almost done. So we have a head and a dress. The only thing left is a pair of arms. We will use one of the white corn husks, and I'm going to fold it in so it makes a rectangle shape, and then just roll it up like rolling up a carpet at one end. And I'm going to tie the center with a piece of string. And a nice thing to do if you want a really nice finished look to your doll's arms is to tie the ends with a piece of raffia, or you could even use a piece of corn husk. Right, so we have our doll and our arms, and we're ready to assemble. What you want to do is open this up, so 2 husks on each side, all the way up to where you tied it. Get those arms in there really snugly, and then tie securely right under the arms. I'll use a piece of raffia for this. So here's our basic corn husk doll, and from here you can make your doll an individual by accessorizing. I think this one is going to get an apron. So I have some white corn husk left here. It's going to tear a little strip off for a belt, and then attach it. By tying it around the waist. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trim off the bottom of this skirt so our doll can maybe stand up. Another thing you can do if you don't want a scarecrow type doll, you can tie the arms down just until they dry in a couple hours. Just use a piece of string for that. Right, so we've got the arms tied down so they'll dry in this position. And now it's time to accessorize. I made a little broom here out of a stick and some corn husks. And now I'm going to put some hair on. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on top of the head here. Gonna have blonde corn husk doll. Just stick that corn silk right on top. Oh, another thing you might want to do is make a bonnet. And I'm just gonna tie it on here with a little piece of raffia. And I do want to show how to make pants. So if you have your doll and you'd like it to have pants, all you need to do is just cut right up the center here and tie off the legs. So there you have it. I hope you have fun using your imagination to make your very own corn husk doll.
Yep, like I said, fall around the farm is a real special time of year. And we hope that you'll be able to join us here really soon.